Welcome in, everyone. Ready for a deep dive into something I bet we all know too well, mom guilt. You sent us this report titled Mom Guilt, What It Is, Why It Exists, and How to Manage It, and whoa, it is jam-packed with insights. Humor, too. I think we'll have some fun with this one.
Yeah, it really gets into like the nitty-gritty, not just that surface, oh, I messed up feeling, but the deeper stuff, all those societal pressures and, just the whole context of how moms experience guilt.
For sure.
Uh,
Right off the bat, they define mom guilt. Not just a fleeting feeling, but this, underlying worry we're never good enough.
right. Always worrying, are our kids on track? Are we messing them up? Second-guessing every single decision. It's a lot.
Like this invisible standard, the expectation that we should be perfect in every single aspect of motherhood.
Which, let's be real, that's just not possible. No one can do that.
Okay, so get this. The report has this whole long list of things moms feel guilty about.
Mm.
And we're talking everything. Like, I was cracking up at some of these. Everything from the food we give our kids to. Are you ready for this? Feeling guilty about wanting to put on makeup.
Seriously, it's like no matter what you do, there's some guilt attached.
Yeah.
And it's that range, that variety that just shows you how deep this goes. Mom guilt, it's not just the big decisions, it's woven into like our everyday lives.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. How many of us have felt that pang of guilt for giving our kids junk food for dinner? I know I have. Especially when, it's been a long day and I'm just exhausted.
Oh, yeah, totally. Or that pressure to sign them up for every single activity. Like if they're not in ballet and soccer and coding camp, are they going to fall behind?
Right. So it's like we're set up for guilt no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. So the report does a great job of listing out all these things we feel guilty about, but then it goes deeper and asks, why are moms so susceptible to this in the first place?
And what's really fascinating is they point to a few factors that kind of create like the perfect storm for mom guilt to just grow and thrive.
Okay, let's break it down. So first up are those unrealistic expectations we talked about. It's like society and sometimes even ourselves set this impossibly high bar.
It really is. I saw this commercial the other day, right? And this mom, she's somehow like whipping up this gourmet, all organic meal while she's coaching her kids' soccer team on Zoom.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. And she's in the spotless white dress. Like, come on. Who are these moms? And where can I find that much time in a day?
It's crazy. Okay, and then there's the whole unknown future thing, right? So we're making all these decisions now, but we don't actually know how they'll impact our kids 10, 20 years down the road.
It's true. And of course, we want what's best for our kids, but that not knowing if we're making the right choice, it's like breeding ground for second guessing and all that anxiety.
For sure. And it wasn't enough to deal with already. Then comes the endless stream of advice. And it's conflicting advice from books, from your family, your friends, social media. Everybody's a parenting expert.
So overwhelming. It's like one expert says, do this, and then another one's like, no, do the complete opposite. And you're just stuck in the middle, like, okay, now what? No wonder we're all paralyzed by guilt.
It really does feel like a setup sometimes. Speaking of things guaranteed to induce a guilt trip, let's talk work-life balance. Or should we say, work-life guilt trip.
Right. But what I really appreciated about the report is that it didn't pick sides in the whole working moms versus stay-at-home moms debate.
Which is so refreshing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, judging other moms' choices just adds another layer of guilt, and none of us need that.
Exactly. It's not about one being better than the other. The report actually highlights the benefits of both. Like, for working moms, it's about contributing financially, being a strong role model, and often it fosters a sense of independence in kids,
And for stay-at-home moms, the benefits are huge, too. You're saving on childcare, you're providing that constant care and attention. Some research even suggests potential benefits to a child's school performance.
Totally. And the takeaway, I think what the report was trying to emphasize, is that it's not about one being better. It's about what works for each family, what lets each mom thrive.
Finding what works for you.
And if you're listening and you're feeling that pull, that guilt about whether you're working or staying home, or, maybe you're feeling judged for your choice, just know you're not alone. And there is no right answer. It really is about what's best for you and your family.
And you know what? All of this pressure, all this guilt we've been talking about, sometimes it leads to another emotion that moms don't always feel comfortable admitting. Mom anger.
Oh, yeah, that's real. And then the guilt just piles on because you think, oh, I'm not supposed to be angry. I'm supposed to be patient. I'm supposed to be this Zen mom.
Right. We're supposed to handle every tantrum, every messy situation with a smile.
Yeah.
Like we're these parenting Zen masters or something. But the truth is, Anger is a human emotion, and guess what?
Yeah.
Moms are human.
Well,
It's okay to get frustrated.
absolutely. And I think acknowledging it is actually healthier than trying to bottle it all up and pretend it's not there. What I found really interesting is that the report digs into why moms experience anger. And it's not just about being a mom, it's about, well, being human. We're talking sleep deprivation,
Yeah.
unmet expectations, and that goes for both ourselves and our kids. Anxiety, underlying stress, I mean, it's a lot.
Oh, it's a lot. And thankfully, the report doesn't just leave us hanging with all this anger. They actually offer some really great tips for managing it, healthy ways to cope. So maybe that's a good place to pick up when we come back for part 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And to everyone listening who's ever experienced mom anger, you are not alone. And you're not a bad mom for feeling that way. It's totally normal. And you know what? There are things we can do about it. So before the break, we were talking about mom anger and some ways to manage it. The report had some really good tips. It's not about transforming into this perfectly zen mom who never gets frustrated.
Right. I mean, who is that mom anyway?
Seriously, it's more about having some tools in your toolbox so you can handle those moments when you feel that anger bubbling up.
And the first tip, it feels so obvious, but it can also feel impossible to actually do when you're, knee deep in the trenches of motherhood. Prioritize sleep.
Oh my gosh, yes. Sleep is like the foundation for everything. When you're sleep deprived, everything feels harder. Your patience wears thin, your fuse is shorter, and it's just harder to cope with everything.
And I love that the report doesn't just stop at sleep more, which, let's be honest, that's not always helpful advice. They actually offer concrete solutions like giving yourself permission to ask for help.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes we just need that reminder that it's okay to ask for support. It doesn't make us less capable as moms. It just means we're human.
Right. We need help sometimes. So ask your partner, ask your family, maybe even consider hiring a babysitter for a couple of hours so you can actually, catch a nap or get a full night's sleep.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just knowing that it's an option, that you don't have to do everything yourself. That can make a huge difference.
It really can. So another tip that really stood out to me was this idea of setting realistic expectations. And this goes for both our kids and ourselves.
This is so huge. It's like we have this picture in our minds of the perfect mom, right? The one who has the spotless house, the homemade organic meals every night, the kids who are always perfectly behaved. And it's just not realistic.
The report is basically giving us permission to just let go of all that. It's okay if your house is a little messy, if dinner is takeout sometimes, if you don't have the energy to, be Pinterest mom and plan all these elaborate crafts and activities. It's okay to just be.
It really is. And I think, on the flip side of that, we need to remember that our kids are kids. They're not little adults. They're learning. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to have meltdowns.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have meltdowns.
The report even suggests learning about what's developmentally appropriate for kids at different ages. So we're not setting them up for failure. And honestly, we're not setting ourselves up for frustration either.
So true. If we're not constantly feeling like our kids should be doing this or acting that way, we're less likely to get angry when they, don't live up to those unrealistic expectations we've set for them.
Exactly. Now, speaking of things we can control, the report also really emphasizes self-care. And it's not just about, bubble baths and massages, although those are great. It's about taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. And the report frames it as a tool for managing mom anger.
Yeah, I liked how they talked about how when you're feeling depleted, when you're running on empty, it's just so much harder to stay calm and patient. So, taking care of ourselves isn't selfish. It's actually essential if we want to be the best moms we can be.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be anything big or fancy either. I mean, sometimes self-care is just, taking 15 minutes to read a book, taking a hot bath, going for a walk.
Yeah, getting out of the house, even for just a few minutes, can make a huge difference. It's all about finding what works for you.
It really is. It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's true. Taking care of ourselves, it fills our cup, so we have more to give to our families.
Okay, so this next point is a big one. And I'll admit, it's something I struggle with too, comparisons. The report calls them the thief of joy. And honestly, I couldn't agree more.
Ugh, comparisons, especially in this day and age where we're constantly bombarded with these picture-perfect families on social media. It's so easy to get sucked into that trap of comparing ourselves to other moms, our kids to other kids, our lives to these perfectly curated highlight reels.
It's like we're comparing our bloopers to someone else's finished film.
Exactly. And it's not just about comparing ourselves to other moms either. We also end up comparing our kids to other kids, which can be so damaging. Every child develops at their own pace. They have their own strengths, their own challenges, and it's important to honor and celebrate those differences instead of getting caught up in some imaginary competition.
Yeah, let's celebrate those differences. I love how the report encourages us to, instead of feeling pressure for our kids to be the first to walk or talk or read, can we just enjoy those moments? Appreciate their individual journey.
And it's really about, if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, it's about letting go of those external standards and focusing on what really matters, our well-being and our children's well-being.
And I think that leads perfectly into the report's core message, which is this simple but really powerful statement: you're doing okay, mama.
You really are. Mom guilt is real, but it doesn't have to rule our lives.
This report feels like a permission slip to let go of the pressure and embrace the beautiful, messy reality of motherhood. And I think that's where some of the humor comes in. The report actually included a bunch of hilarious memes and stuff.
Oh, yeah, they are great.
Like, don't be too hard on yourself. The mom from E.T. had an alien living in her basement for days and didn't even notice.
Oh my God, that's a good one. Or what about that one that's all these moms on Pinterest making their own soap and reindeer-shaped treats? And I'm like, I took a shower today and managed to keep the kids alive.
Which honestly is a major accomplishment some days. It's a good reminder that we're all just doing our best. And you know what? That's enough.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what I also thought was really powerful is that the report talks about, not just being kind to ourselves, but also learning from our mistakes and even asking our children for forgiveness when we mess up, because we all mess up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're human. We make mistakes. And I think modeling that, that self-compassion and that vulnerability for our kids, it's actually a really powerful lesson. It teaches them that it's okay to make mistakes and that we can learn and grow from them.
We can always learn and grow. And tomorrow's a new day, a new chance to, do better, to be better. We don't have to carry yesterday's guilt with us. It's like we have to give ourselves that same grace and understanding that we, so freely give to our kids.
Right. And speaking of grace, I thought it was interesting how the report also touched on this idea of moms feeling guilty for having interests outside of motherhood.
Oh, yeah. If we dedicate any time or energy to something we enjoy, it somehow makes us less dedicated moms.
It's like we're supposed to pour every ounce of ourselves into being moms and have nothing left for, our own passions or hobbies.
And the report really emphasizes this. Taking care of ourselves, pursuing things that light us up, it actually makes us better moms.
It makes sense if you think about it. When we do things that bring us joy, it fills our cup. It helps us manage stress, and it allows us to be more present and engaged with our kids.
Totally. It's like that airplane oxygen mask thing.
Yeah.
You have to put on your own mask first before you can help anyone else.
Exactly. And honestly, it sets a great example for our kids, too. They see us taking care of ourselves, pursuing our dreams, and it teaches them the importance of doing the same.
So before we wrap up this deep dive into mom guilt, we wanted to leave you with a little challenge, something inspired by the report. Think about one thing you could do this week, just one thing, to rekindle a hobby or a passion that brings you joy.
It could be anything. Reading a book, dusting off that old guitar, taking a dance class, joining a book club, starting a garden, whatever it is that sparks your interest.
You deserve that time for yourself. Remember, you're not just a mom, you're a whole person with your own unique interests and talents.
So true. And embracing all of that, those parts of yourself, it will only enrich your life and your experience as a mom.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into mom guilt. Hopefully you found this conversation helpful, insightful, and maybe even, a little freeing.
It's been great talking about this. And to all the moms listening out there, you are amazing, you are strong, you are resilient, and you are doing a phenomenal job.
Don't let mom guilt steal your joy or diminish all the incredible work you do every single day.
Go out there and reclaim your joy, mama. You deserve it.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep being the awesome moms that you are.